Hey guys, welcome back to Vince-Vell Customs. Today we're going to start a work in progress video of repainting this Wolverine statue, but adding a little extra flair to it. Now, I was contacted by someone saying, can you repaint my Wolverine? And I was like, yep, no problem, we can repaint it. And then when I got it, one of the claws were broken off, and that was one of the things I was going to put back together. Now I would have broken the claws off anyway to paint them up and then put it back on, because with those type of claws, you could kind of just take your finger and you could like flick it, and it would probably just come off real quick because they're not really deep in the statue, and it's just kind of the way it's designed. So I said, I have a friend, Warren, which is War and Resin Studios, and he has a YouTube channel, Kinetic Cap. I have that in my description. He actually does metalwork, and I contacted him. I said, hey, would you be up for making some Wolverine claws for a Bowen statue? Because he had no problem. So basically, he has a system of how he does it all. Basically, you can't actually just make the claw this size and put it in, because you have to have something to hold it on to buff it, and so basically they're all different sizes. But what I'm supposed to do is, on my end, is I take the claws, I'm going to make a diagram of the right hand, the left hand, and all that, where each claw goes in, because I want to drill in a little bit deeper and make the claws go in. So then when I paint them up, I'll be able to just glue the claws in at the end, and we got a nice cool comic book feel of the claws. See? They'll be a little bit longer and a little bit better than the actual claws that you get from the factory, because the ones from the factory are just, typical white metal, and they're bendable, and they just kind of look So this is kind of cool. This is kind of like a fun custom where you can repaint it, but one little change of the claws can make this Wolverine statue look 10 times better than the 500 factory ones that are out there. So this is going to be kind of cool. So I'm not going to actually strip the statue down. I'm just going to paint right over it, because in this position he really just doesn't need to be stripped down, because it's got nice thick primer on it as it is. So I'm just going to like fine-tune, sand them down, and then start working from there. But first, I'm going to work out the claws first. So we'll be back once I start getting the ideas on how to cut the claws, to make my diagrams, put them in the special spots so I don't mess them all up, and go from there. So I think it'll be a fun project. I think a lot of people will like this and probably want to, hey, I want to take my Wolverine statue and I'll make some cool claws. So you'll be able to contact Warren too. I'm pretty sure he can make claws from all different size statues, anywhere from Bowen stuff to busts to sideshow scale statues to even like real life size stuff. So it's going to be kind of a cool, fun project. So hopefully you guys like the turnout at the end. Alright, so at this point with the Wolverine claws, what I did is I cut off 3 of them, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work out. So I have to kind of place the claws in here the way they're going to work, how whether I want them spread or kind of even. So I think I'm going to try to go even, and I got to debate whether I'm going to throw some A's in here, put in the claws, so this way the claws go in exactly where I want to glue, or if I'm just going to glue it at the end and then touch up. I don't know, I got to kind of work that out. But what my plan is, once I figure out what claw goes where, I'm going to put the claw here with a little piece of tape, just at the very end, because I don't want to tape any of this, or maybe even some, I'll have to figure, but so this way I know what each claw is going on the right hand and the left hand, so this way I can paint them up, and at the end I can pop the claw off and put it to where I need to put it. So I'm still debating all that, but for right now I'm kind of cutting the claws and going from there. So once I figure out whether I'm going to actually put A's in there and put the claw in each one, or if I'm just going to use glue at the end, get them lined up, and then touch it up with paint at the end. It's kind of a little difficult at this point, because I had to actually drill up a little bit bigger to fit the claws, and if I didn't draw big enough I couldn't get the claws in, but then I got to cut the claws to make them all even. So it's kind of just, once that's all prepped up, could just start painting him and then glue it in at the end. So that's where I'm at. We'll update as we keep going. Alright guys, so I have my map out now of which claw goes to which knuckle. So we got the right hand, we got the left hand, so now I know where each one's going, so I don't have to guess down the line and worry about all that stuff. So I have to do a specific paint up. We'll do work in progress, or just show you step by step kind of how we do the paint up, and then we'll get the claws in at the end and we'll show them all finished. Alright, so pretty much I cut all the blades now, I fit them in each hand, it's all mapped out, so I'm good to go there, and the next step is to paint up Wolverine. Now, what I did was I used my 3M sandpaper, which is kind of like a little cut off of the big sheet right there. As you can see, bigger stuff. So what I did was I kind of wet sanded him down, let him dry for a day or so, and next up will be painting him up. Now, working with yellow is a little difficult, so you got to kind of figure out how you're going to do it. It's always best to work yellow first and mask it off so you can paint the darker colors over, because if you try to paint the yellow over the darker colors, it's kind of a pain. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my skin tones first, which is the face and the arms. I can mask that off, and then I can do all the yellow on here and around there, and then I can take my time masking off the skin and the yellow, and then work out all the browns and stuff, because I have a special way that I need to paint this all up. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and I think that's the best bet for painting up this Wolverine. So we'll be back as I start doing up some more work. Alright, here's Wolverine with the yellow all painted up now. Basically, I was asked not to make it super bright yellow like Factory did. Kind of going more with the darker yellow brownish, making it look more like, I guess, the comic book and the Gentle Giant bust. So that's what I did with that at the moment. It's a little shiny at the moment because I haven't really flat coated it, and it's still kind of a little wet. So that's kind of where I'm at now with the Wolverine. But once I get this going, we start working on the brown parts and I guess the black parts, and finish them up with the belt. And then get the claws in, and we're good to go. Alright, browning on the Wolverine's done. Now, it's actually not a complete pure brown out of a bottle. It's actually a mix of different browns. But when I was done with it, what I did was I misted sepia all over it. Garage Kids Color Sepia. It's like a transparent type brown. So it brought out like a little bit more of like an orangey red brown out of him. I'm trying to get more of that old comic book look of back in the day when Wolverine was wearing this. So that's what I was asked to do. And that's kind of where I'm at now. The yellow might look bright yellow in the camera, but it's actually really like a muted brown yellow. Didn't want to go straight yellow out of the tube, so now that it's all coming together, it's starting to work out. So you got the fair skin, you got the muted yellow, which is kind of more like the browns, no blacks hit it at all, and you got now a brown outfit with some black shading, and basically the last two steps now is the belt and the black part on the boots. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Coming out pretty cool. He may look a little shiny. I gotta kind of dull him down a little bit as well. But just working with different colors like this and the different paints, sometimes you get that glossy shininess. You just gotta take it down later. But that's what I'm at, and we'll be getting finished up soon. Alright, Wolverine's pretty much all done. So basically the goal was we didn't want to make bright colors. So if anything looks kind of bright in the camera, it's because of my studio lights. I have really bright lights in the studio. But the goal was didn't want to make it look like the factory paint up where it was almost like a lemon yellow and the belt was just like bright red belt. So we kind of wanted to make it a little bit more, leathery type look and a little bit more, darker than the actual factory paint up. So that's pretty much what we came up with, and I had to just do one change, was the mask. I had a faded black to brown, and basically wanted to be a change to pure black, so we just went with black on that. So it works out pretty cool, and this is where I'm at now. So the next step now is basically I have to attach the claws. The problem with the claws is if you glue one claw in, it might look great, but when you put the other two in, they don't line up correctly. So kind of what I have to do is have all three in at the same time, glue maybe the middle one, and make sure they're all set to the correct position. Then I could pull out the other two, and I could glue them in and line them all up correctly. Because it's a little tricky, because you can glue the top one in and it looks great, but when you put in the other two, they're not even and they're not lined up and they look all wacky. So it's kind of something you got to play with and figure out what you're going to do in the beginning. So I might film it, I might not. It all depends if I can get the camera in and kind of set it up correctly. So, but once you get the claws in, it's going to really pop and it's going to really look like a cool piece, and it's not going to look like the factory plastic paint up and have really like shiny metal claws. So we'll come back when I'm ready to start doing all that. I just want to make sure this is completely dry, seal it up a little bit more, and be ready and see if I missed any other spots and stuff. So that's pretty much where we're at, and we'll get them finished up. Okay guys, at this point I'm going to start gluing in the claws, and before I glue them in, I want to explain to you what's going to happen. Now, I'm not going to be able to film it because I can't have the camera hovering over in my way while I'm trying to get this done, because I want to get these as perfect as possible. So what I was explaining before is, if you glue one in, it looks great, but then when you start gluing the others, they're not actually lining up, and then you get it all wacky. So what you want to do is you want to get them sitting in here, and you want to make sure they're lining up all correctly. So what I'll do is I'm going to pull out the middle one, glue that, make sure they're all lined up, So then I could pop out the other two and I could line them up with the middle one, because if you glue one in, like say you glue this one in and it looks great, but when you go to glue the other two, they're not pushing back far enough or they're not lining up correctly, and then you have it all wacky and it looks like crap. So it's very delicate, you got to take your time. So what I'm going to do is I'll come back after I'm glue these all in and it's all ready to go, and then I do my touch-ups. But that's what I was explaining, that, you know, just because you got the claws in there and they fit in perfect, you got to make sure they're going in correctly, because you glue one in, it looks great, you throw the other two in, and all of a sudden everything's going to hell. So you don't want to go through all this work, and then you're going to do the claws at the end, and then you mess everything up. So I'm going to come back once he's all finished up and he's ready to go, but I just kind of wanted to explain, you know, that this is a little bit of a process, and I got to hover over it, and I got to make sure it's correct, because I don't want it to look like crap, basically. So we'll be back once he's all done. So hopefully you guys like the lookout so far and how it's all working. Okay guys, Wolverine is all done. I got the claws in there. I did all my touch-ups. I buffed up the claws as much as possible without trying to snap them or anything. So it came out really cool. I think the whole entire project just worked out great. So we did my paint up. We went more with the darker tones and not super bright yellows. Kept them fair skin, nice and detailed, not a bright red belt, and put the claws in. Now Warren did an amazing job with the claws. Hopefully you guys like the stylize and how it just completely transforms the statue from that, you know, that, I guess that's, they use that really like white metal stuff from China, but this really just makes it pop. I mean, this looks like he just jumped out of a comic from a specific look. So hopefully you guys like it. It was closer. Really nice and shiny. Just came out great. I think it just completely transforms the statue. And they're a little bit longer, which is cool, because I think the longer look really gives it that style. So hopefully you guys liked the video. Hopefully you liked how everything came out and give you guys some ideas. You can check out Warren's YouTube channel. It's Kinetic Cap. And I'll put it in the description so you guys can check out his channel. He does some other metal work too. And just did a great job with it. So I think, you know, taking his claws, putting it into a statue, and just transforming it just makes it look awesome. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.